everyone, this video is going to be my end of March updates, and I'm going to start with my new acquisitions. This one is Gastrocytelis Obliqus, and I got this from Tropical Gardens. It's pushing out a few new root tips and what appears to be a spike, but not sure if that spike will develop well. So with these for my Orchid Society, did a group order with a few international vendors. So this one is the first set. So I'll go over the ones from Ten Shin first. So I bought a flask Vanda leucostele cross self. I believe this is also synonymous with Vanda helvola. Yeah, the seedlings look pretty good. I think they're big enough to be taken out, but I'm not going to do that quite yet. So the other one I got from Ten Shin is Pteroceras longicalcareum. This was advertised as a blooming size plant, which is good. But one thing I noticed was that one big plant turned out to be actually 3 smaller plants, which would normally bother me, but it doesn't in this case because each plant has a flower spike or had a flower spike. So I essentially have 3 blooming size plants, which is good. And the flowers on these ones are pretty cool. They're small yellow with a long spur and with red spots. And these last 2 are from Ecuagenera. This one is Polycycnis trullifera, and this is to replace my Polycycnis barbata that unfortunately was virused. So this plant is pretty healthy, has a very good root system, so I'm happy with what I got. And this one is a new to me species. It's Lycomormium Squalidum. In a previous video I made, I think I mentioned that I had wanted the Lycomormium fiscae. It's a little too cool growing for what I can provide. I do like the flowers on Squalidum, and it is a bit warmer growing. Warmer meaning intermediate to cool. So since it can tolerate intermediate, I will try to grow it here. I don't know if the holes in the basket are large enough for a flower spike. But we'll see. I don't think it's blooming size quite yet. Yeah, it's a pretty good sized plant, I think. Some of the leaves are turning yellow, but overall it's fine and has a new root tip on this growth. So this is my Prag Eva, and I'm not doing super good with it. I have a lot of brown leaves, especially in this growth here. There's a brown leaf in the middle, which is not good, but the plant is still alive, so that's something. And there's a new growth growing at the bottom there. So this is my Arides Flablada, and I decided to move it to the Vanda corner, I guess you could say, because in every photo I've seen, the leaves are supposed to be like a bright green color, but they were actually like a dark green and turning purple. So I was wondering if that would have caused or prevented this from producing a flower spike. So I decided to put it here for a little less light. Hopefully I'll get a flower spike. And this is my Rhynchorides Bangkok sunset. The new leaf, it started to get a weird bacterial infection, so I cut it off and just put some cinnamon on the wound. And this is my Brachypeza laotica, and it looks like the root is going down into the media, so that's good. And this is Paraphalaenopsis labukensis crossed with Seidenfedenia mitrata, and it's in bloom, so that's great. And this is Ascocentrum ampullaceum, and that definitely is a new growth on that back growth there. And it looks like it's pushing out another flower spike here. This is Paraphalaenopsis laycockii, and it's still doing pretty well on the kulog. And you can see there's a root that's attached to it as well. And this is Vanda coerulescens. It's still in spike, so the humidifier is really helping keep the spike there. And this is my Phal javanica, and the plastic bag has worked. You can see a couple of the flowers have opened more or less fully. I haven't sprayed inside since the last time I've watered it. I'm finding that I don't really need to do that. As long as the bag is around it, then seems like it's enough. And this is my Leptodes bicolor, and it looks like the spikes are developing, so it's getting there. And this is Chrysocentrum gokusingii. Still hasn't done anything. And this is Masdevallia amplexa. It's still pushing out flowers like crazy. And this is my SLC, World Vacation Shibuya Sunset. This growth fully matured, but there's no sheath or spike or anything. this one is maturing, but there's no signs of anything inside. That one on the bottom there is still unknown. This is my leucostele alata. I had a division here, small division, but that rotted. These two they don't seem to be doing much. The plant itself isn't looking super great. I don't think it's dying, but there's hardly any action on it. And this is my Gallio Tia fimbriata. There's this and that growth. And then this is a new one. I think I have to spray it down. The leaves don't look super good. Overall, the plant is fine. And this is my Trichoglottis pusilla on the kulog. Still doing fine. Has 2 flower spikes on it. Dendrobium Sherry Abe is still in bloom. And this is my Rhynchorides monachica. I decided to take it out of the tank because it was too much of a hassle trying to get it in and out. There's not enough clearance between the top of the tank and the bottom of the top shelf, so it's a little tricky. So I put it here. I'm not too worried about the light because it seems to be shaded by the other plants here. So I decided to also move my Stereochilus erinaceus here. I wanted to give it less light, which is kind of strange in this spot, but it is getting less light because it's getting more shade from the plants around it. So one of the more exciting things in my collection that's going on is my Papilionanthe taiwaniana as growing a flower spike. So that's super, super exciting. And my Dendrobium antenatum cross bloomed. The display isn't as good as last year. I did find one of those black bugs, just one on this plant, but I haven't seen it since. And it looks like something is affecting the bud, so that's why some blasted. And there's some residue that is not sap from the plant, it's something else. So it bloomed, but it's not as good, but I think it's going to be okay. And this is my Phal cornu-cervi shadalade, and it's in bloom, and there's another bud coming, so that's really good. And these are my flask babies. So these two are Dendrobium tobaense, and they're doing really well. This one's getting quite large, and in the back is Paraphalaenopsis laycockii, and this guy here is getting pretty big too, so that's really great. This is my Angraecum germanianum, and I did end up cutting the top off, and all the side keiki seem like they're growing well, so that's good. And this is Coryanthes leucocores, and it's pushed out this new growth. And this is my Dendrobium formosa, and it's also pushed out a new growth. And this is Neophoenicia falcata kutsuamshi, and I think last time I showed that it looked like there's growing a flower spike. It's still there, but hasn't really done too much other than gotten a little fatter. And this is my Coryanthes missaceae, and it's also pushing out a new growth. This is Polycycnis tenoglossum on the kulog, and last time I had bent the 2 long roots down just so they were a little out of the way, and that root there has attached itself to the log itself, so that's good. Otherwise, it's doing fine. And this is Bulbophyllum Princess Bajaratana, and it's doing fine as well on the kulog. Nothing major. And this is my Path Lindley Kupovitz, and it has a new leaf starting. And this is my Path Emersonii. It's growing this fern on the side, which is kind of nice. But one thing I notice is it's a little bit pale inside here. So I'm thinking if it's getting too much light, so I might move this. This is my Chysis levis, and I've donated it to my Orchid Society, so that will be going to its new home shortly. And this is my Catasetum tigredum crossed with Kleberianum, and it's pushing out a new growth. I think I'm going to give this one away. I can't keep all my Catasetums, and I think I like the other one better. And this is Cloecia russellianum crossed with Catasetum tigrinum, and it's also pushing out a new growth. This one is Elena Lawson crossed with tigrinum. It had 3 bulbs. One of them started to look really suspicious. It looked like rot, but it wasn't soft. So I took that off, and in the process, I ended up taking this part off as well. So I've put this to the side, and I've potted this one up, and still dormant, so we'll see what happens. And this is my Pedangus dactyloceras, and it looks like it's pushing out a flower spike. And I decided to move my Vanda pamila into this spot, but it's kind of behaving kind of weird. I'll show you. So since I've moved it, the part facing the light has darkened a bit and it's extruding some happy sap, so I'm not sure if that's a good sign or a bad sign or neutral sign. I don't know. This is my Vanda Jennae. This root tip looks like it's starting to close off, but there's a new nub in there. And then on the other side, it looks like it's starting to push out another root tip. So this is doing pretty okay. And this is my Phal fimbriata, and it's pushing out that leaf really nicely. And this is my Phal subparietii, and the flower spike hasn't really done much, and it's starting to turn brown, so I don't know if this is going to develop into anything. And this is my Vanda cristata, and it's in bloom. The other spikes haven't developed yet. I'm thinking to put this in a vase or pot it up. Even though it grows fine, the leaves seem to be constantly dehydrated, so I'm hoping giving it more humidity around the root area might help with that. Last but not least is my Dendrobium Sherry on the kulog. There was a bud on one of the pseudobulbs on the newer plant, but that dried up. But there is another one showing up on a different pseudobulb, so we'll see how that goes. Alrighty, that's my video for today. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!